718 million views in 24 hours. Not 7 days, not a week, 24 hours. That is the number of times people watched the Spider-Man brand new trailer and making it the single biggest trailer launch in the history of cinema. Not just the biggest movie trailer, the biggest trailer, full stop. Even beating out the GA6 reveal from last year. Peter Parker is back and the internet absolutely lost its mind. So today on Tanveer Talks, we're gonna deep dive the trailer, what it tells us and what is holding, what is hiding, what it means for the MCU going forward. Let's get into it. What is up everyone, welcome back, and this is Tanveer Talks. Before we break down the trailer beat by beat, we need to remind ourselves where Peter Parker actually is emotionally and narratively. Because Brand New Day is like built on entirely on the wreckage left by No Way Home. At the end of No Way Home, Peter made one of the most gut-wrenching decisions in the MCU history. To fix the multiverse being torn apart, a mess that was essentially his fault. If you had watched the movie, Peter asked Doctor Strange to cast a spell so that everyone in the world would forget that Peter Parker exists. Not just forget, he's the Spider-Man, forget him, MJ, Ned, Happy, everyone gone. Unlike Eddie Brock, who got yanked back to his universe, Peter stayed. He retained all of his memories. He remembers everything. He just can't do anything about it. 4 years have passed since No Way Home, and Peter is now a fully grown adult, living completely alone, having voluntarily erased himself, from the lives of everyone he loves. And he's not in college anymore. He's not working at a lab. He's just Spider-Man. That is it. That's his whole identity now. And as we'll see in the trailer, that choice, that sacrifice is beginning to consume him, not just emotionally, but physically. The film was previously meant to appear between the two upcoming Avenger films, right? But it now precedes the entire conclusion of the multiverse saga. That's a significant structural shift, I would say. It means that, Brand New Day is the launchpad for whatever comes next, rather than a bridge piece. And that's a lot. That is a lot of pressure on one film. And from this, what this trailer shows, Destin Daniel Cretton, who's the director, is like he's very much aware about the await. So yeah, and let's just talk about the rollout for a second, because it was generally brilliant marketing. Like Sony spent 24 hours before the full reveal releasing tiny snippets of trailer footage, with fans around the world, each revealing small pieces. The whole thing culminated with the Tom Holland himself. He unveiled the full trailer from the top of the Empire State Building at sunrise. That's not just a trailer drop, right? That looks like an event, and actually worked. The previous record for the biggest trailer ever was held by Deadpool and Wolverine at 365 million views, and in 24 hours, right? And Brand New Day more than just doubled it with 718 million views in less than 24 hours, right? And in just 8 hours, it had beat the record, meaning it broke the all-time record before most of the world had even woken up. People have been waiting for this like for 5 years. No Way Home came out in 2021 and made 1.9 billion. The appetite for more Tom Holland Spider-Man has never gone away, right? And this trailer just confirmed that wait was actually worth it, right? And now let's talk about what actually is in the trailer. I'm not going to show the trailer, right? I'm just going to talk about what the trailer was. Most of you have already seen it. So it opens up with Peter Parker in his new suit, sitting upside down on a skyscraper, watching a social media post from Ned showing him and MJ's excitement about starting at MIT. This single shot tells you everything. He's watching their joy from a distance, and he's on outside of the life he used to have, looking fun basically. And the people he loves are thriving. They don't even know he exists. We hear Peter Parker even reading a handwritten letter saying, "Hi, I am Peter Parker." And this is clearly him trying to reintroduce himself, right? To Ned, to the world, to everyone that, and even to Ned, he tells that they used to be best friends. Sounds pretty, like sad, honestly. But he lives next door to MJ, as you see, and MJ has a new boyfriend, and she's also, if you notice it, like she's wearing the necklace that Peter gave her, right? And the detail might have been missed by a lot of people, but some fans have noticed it. And the Bruce Banner showed up, and he's appearing as a lecturer at the Empire State University, and he has no memory of Peter either. He asked like, "What is your name again?" Right? Yeah. And then Peter has to introduce himself to the Bruce Banner as a stranger, obviously, right? Because he doesn't know. And and for thing like that man fought alongside with Avengers in the battle, and Bruce Banner does not even know him right now. He, right? He says, "Can you? Hey, no, hi, I'm nobody. Can you help me?" Right? That kind of a humiliation, that the comics have, always putting Spider-Man through this, and MCU is like finally doing it. So it's gone to more comic book accurate, right? And where this actually trailer like gets interesting is like and a little disturbing as well. Peter Parker is shown undergoing a mysterious physical mutation, and his senses are heightened. He's being deafened by the sound of even a single drop of water. And at one point, he collapses unconscious, and then he wakes up in a cocoon in his own webbing, and he's outside his apartment window in nothing but his boxers, no costumes, no web shooters, and from what it looks like, when he falls, first I thought that somebody grabbed him, but when I looked at Twitter again, it looks like the web came out of his wrist, and he catches himself. Looks like some sort of he's gonna develop organic weapon from what it looks like, and yeah, probably Peter, probably a callback moment for Peter. When he was started with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, and he was asking like, how can he shoot a web through his wrist, right? And yeah, that's gonna be fun, right? And and I know people who have read the comics and even watched the animated series, that organic webbing in the comics, it first appeared in the storyline, where Peter was mutated after an encounter with a villain called the Queen. And the arc being referenced is almost certainly the other, where a dying Peter undergoes a mysterious rebirth, shedding his old body, and then emerging renewed from a web cocoon, with a deeper connection to what's called Spider Totem, a cosmic mystical aspect of his identity. A voice also in the if you haven't noticed it noticed that spiders have 3 life cycles, and when between cycles, it can actually leave the spider vulnerable to threats. And for those spiders who make it through, it amounts to a kind of a rebirth. And this is not a subtle; it's like telling us the story. Like this the theme of the movie is, right? This is a story about Peter Parker dying as one version of himself, being reborn as something greater and more dangerous. There are shots in the trailer, that suggest the end point of that evolution could be Man Spider, because you could see his physical transformation where he has his eyes turned black, right? We could see him. I don't know how they're gonna do it. Like has spider-shaped head and multiple eyes and 4 extra arms. And if you've seen the animated series back in the 90s, right? The late 90s and the early 2000s, you know that even in the animation series, it actually happened. But in that one, it was a Dr. Connor who was helping him. And in this one, it seems like it's gonna be Bruce Banner. Let's see how are they gonna do it. In the animations, I remembered vividly, like it was awesome. I actually enjoyed that episode, and it was an animation series, right? Even though I was a kid, right? But still, it's still I can recall it, and I hope they do something similar, right? This movie is, it looks like is going more darker and stranger than any of the Spider-Man films before it, right? Let's see. And now let's look at the rogue gallery of the Spider-Man. There is a lot going on. I saw so many villains in this, right? The first one was Michael Mando, as like he's back as Gargan and the Scorpion. Basically, his first appearance since the Spider-Man Homecoming. That was in like 2017, and that's 9 years of waiting, right? And he's finally in the suit with a full mechanized tail. And his one line in the trailer is "Stay out of my way." And probably just think that he's not after Spider-Man, he's after somebody else. Possibly Sadie Sink's character, from what I think, right? I don't know, maybe. But and some reports are suggesting that she's playing Jean Grey, founding X-Men members with telepathic and telekinesis abilities. And trailer shows shots of people having their minds controlled by invisible force and a mysterious hooded figure. If you hadn't noticed, there was the hooded figure there, and pursued by damage control. right? If this is Jean Grey's MCU debut, which is gonna be massive. So because we know that X-Men are confirmed in Avengers Doomsday, so if they do a like a small debut of X-Men being in the universe, I think it's good. I'm excited for it. And then they also showed Red Hand Gang, which is the martial arts specialist who worship a demon entity called the Beast. And then there's the Hand, right? The mystical ninja organization that was seen in Defender. If you haven't watched on Netflix, you can go back and watch it, right? It shows like now they are like have both traditional like katanas and energy weapons, right? Somebody with serious resources has upgraded them. And then the Hand's presence, also implies that Daredevils could be in the movie, right? Even probably in like a small capacity. And then third one is Marvin Jones. The third plays that Tombstone, the same actor who actually voiced the character in Into the Spider-Verse. He's appearing as to be a major power player here, possibly the one who's pulling the strings behind both the Hand and the wider Cameron chaos in the city. And then there's Boomerang and Tarantula, who appear in the combat montage early in the film, likely used to establish how Kid was Spider-Man has become before the real threats emerge. And that is a lot of villains, man. Honestly, they're putting a lot of villains in the movie. And from the trailer, it more looks like more of a gang war story, right? Multiple criminal factions competing for dominance, and with Spider-Man is caught in the middle, rather than facing one central antagonist. And that's actually the right probably way to do it, but we'll see. It's grounded, is chaotic, is real. And there's one more, like the most surprising element in this trailer was the Punisher. And he's been shown as, pursuing Spider-Man in this battle. And maybe he's just doing something, one of his quests. And then he tells Peter, directly that you're losing it, kid. Right? That is fascinating because Frank Castle is he's not a hero, right? He's basically kills people. Peter Parker does not kill people. And these two working together or possibly not working together, I don't know. From the trailer, it looks like something is going on. And since Peter has no Tony Stark to, share the weight with, he's completely isolated. He's alone. And maybe Frank Castle could be, his go-to buddy. Let's see, right? That line, you're losing it, kid, is not just a plot point. Right? This is the thesis of the film spoken out loud. Peter Parker, the eternal optimist, the guy who always finds a way, is generally unraveling. And the Punisher, a man defined by his own laws, might be the only person, willing to say it to his face, probably. And where does this leave us? Spider-Man Brand New Day hits theaters on July 31st. I'm excited. I'm a huge Spider-Man fan, and for me, I'm really, really excited for this. And this is not just another Spider-Man film. This is a start of actually a new trilogy, right? It's a new chapter, arguably the most ambitious standalone Spidey story the MCU has attempted, and it's dealing with isolation, identity, physical transformation, and moral compromise, and the cost of sacrifice. And all of that, it has to function as a crowd-pleasing summer blockbuster. And from this trailer alone, I'm cautiously very optimistic. And it hooked me in. I know some people might feel like it's not their thing, but it really hooked me. The trailer numbers, the way everyone watched, even breaking GTA 6 record, is mind-blowing, right? And the visual ambition, that amazing fantasy number 15 cover recreation, and the web cocoon and the eyes going black, it suggests that they're not playing it safe. And it is the biggest trailer right now in history. Like 708 million is not a small. And that's it for today's episode of Tanveer Talks. If you enjoyed this breakdown, subscribe on Spotify, follow on YouTube. Links are in the description. Drop me your thoughts on X at PunjabiGamer786. I want to know, are you buying the new Spider-Man Evolution? Is Sadie Sink the Jean Grey? And is this going to top No Way Home? Let me know.